This will do. Hey everyone, don't mind me. I'm just trying to figure out what Mario game I want to play. I'm just being a little kind of that mood. Let's see, we got Classic here, the Aradise Skip, whoops, one of the best of all time. Maybe it's sequel, maybe another time. Alright, Super Paper Mario. Yeah, so I remember renting this game at Family Video one night when I was in middle school. I was so excited to finally get a chance to play something familiar, yet new. And when I finally got home to play it, I hated it. Super Mario, you know him. He's basically the mascot of video games, and is everywhere in terms of whatever Nintendo touches. Mario is normally known for 2D platformers alongside Mario Party and Mario Kart. Occasionally, Mario would have a 3D adventure in each major console. Almost. However, what if I tell you there was a side series that was originally an RPG series, but wanted to dabble in both 2D and 3D? Well, you got Super Paper Mario, of course. Like the previous Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, Super Paper Mario isn't a direct sequel of the previous game, rather just a new addition to the Paper Mario series. It came out on the Wii and was one of the first-party games for the Wii to be in 2D, while having a main mechanic to flip the POV to 3D in order to find secrets and interact the world in an alternative view. Now, this is still an RPG, so some stats and item usage are available throughout the game, along with a thrilling story of 4 heroes traveling through other worlds to save all reality as we know it. Yeah, I didn't like this game my first playthrough. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about this game right now. When I was younger, I just hated it for no good reason, all because it wasn't just a normal, simple Mario game. When in reality, it kind of is. It's just paper. On the other hand, I don't like playing games that are just long and relaxing, and most of the time the cutscenes are just that. It's just nothing but talking, and you have to read the text. But I'm willing to give this game a shot. So with that, this is Super Paper Mario. The game begins before the start screen as the intro plays out about a story of this evil-looking book and Peach and Bowser's wedding. Context? The game actually begins with Mario and Luigi chilling at their home, with Luigi kind of being too relaxed and wishing for something to do. Toad comes in alerting the birds that Peach is missing, and the bros believe Bowser did, while in actuality he was just about to be invaded. Now, a new character, Count Bleck, appears and kidnaps everyone but Mario and teleports to the wedding we saw earlier. Why? Why did you show the wedding in the intro? In actuality, the wedding scene doesn't play in the actual game, so it's confusing to have the game reference this if you're either the type of person who skips intros or one to accidentally press the 2 button when trying to drink some soda. Cutting back to Mario, he wakes up with his rainbow butterfly named Teepee and believes he is the chosen one and brings him back to Merlon, where he gives you the task to collect 7 of the 8 pure hearts to save the day. That was one of the longest intros in the Mario game that I've ever seen. Finally having control Mario and jumping into Chapter 1, and how does the game play? Honestly, fairly simple thanks to the fact that you play this game with a single Wii remote horizontally. You can't run this game, instead you use the 1 button to use other pixels powers that you meet along the way to help progress the following level while gaining new options to approach enemies. You can use the A button to go from 2D to 3D mode in order to have a new perspective within levels in order to progress what would normally be a dead end or find hidden rooms or secrets. You can also use this to avoid most enemies aside from bosses, but you'll usually meet other enemies that exist only in one of 2 dimensions. Or the flipping enemies that can follow you from 2D to 3D and vice versa. As you play the game, you unlock Peach, Bowser, and Luigi, each with their own trait while replacing Mario's 3D mode. Peach can float, Bowser breathes fire, does more damage, and Luigi has a super jump that flattens himself if he hits the ceiling. Now, this game's only motion control is when you point at the TV with the controller while the TV's around to either learn about people, enemies, or objects, or find hidden doors. And that's about it in terms of controls. Yeah, for the gameplay, that's about it, as most of the game is in 2D. However, as shown, there is a 3D side, and you can play the game in 3D all you want, but it's only for a limited time as you lose health, and second, you only want to do that if you're trying to look for something or complete an obstacle. However, there is a card collecting site you can do, and you can collect cards either just by finding them or use these card capture things to turn enemies into cards. I already do this in real life. Why do I want to show my literacy in a video game? I'm joking. I'm just not a fan of these collecting-based side quests that some games will have. I just think it's a waste of time for just doing something only to have minimal rewards or whatever. So I'm just going to skip it. I don't care about this. This leads to the story of the game, and it's a pretty fun time to have, honestly. Now, it is a simple story, as is a chosen one type of story, But with the game taking itself seriously and having these funny moments of breaking the fourth wall as it slightly recognizes itself as a game, gives it its own charm. It feels like an adventure fairy tale that isn't afraid to have laughs while having moments to pause and have passionate moments for the story to shine. Whether it be an angel child learning her life wasn't real but had loving parents, slight hints of Count Bleck's sadness on why he wants to destroy the world, and the small segments of someone's love story between the chapters. Now, you probably won't cry for the story, but it's honestly a good, warm story just to occasionally have shenanigans with Mario in the game. Its entire portrayal as a storybook makes it charming and fitting with the premise of the game, basically being a legend being unfolded. And I am making this script just realizing the pun I made. Damn it. If I was younger immediately, I think I still would have disliked this game as it is plagued with backtracking within levels. It's not awful like other games from earlier days, but I think the charming story and the simple yet fun gameplay makes up for that. Except Chapter 5, because how the hell was I supposed to know this puzzle without a guide? Like, what the fuck? As I played through the game, I was having a fairly good time learning and finding new ways to explore the game. I chuckled every time the game recognizes itself and makes a quick joke by talking to the player for a bit with Mario being confused for a bit. I also thought it was interesting that there was this whole underworld segment that our heroes got sent to, indicating that they died, but in reality they were sent there in order to meet up with Luigi. But I love the fact that in the entire game they were there instead of being dead. They kept saying that you had the game over instead. Yeah, that was just a fun little thing I just loved. As for the characters, there were some of the most fun characters that I've interacted with in the Mario game. The main game were always fun to see interacting with Peach being the sweet princess to friends, but has a temper to those that pissed her off. Bowser acts like the big bad boss, but it's kind of a klutz that's just funny. And Luigi? Well, he's Luigi. But what's interesting about Luigi here is when he was mind-controlled by Nastasia, Count Bleck's secretary, he becomes Mr. L. That was probably my favorite antagonist to fight, and at the same time, my favorite of the bosses to see, as he acts the opposite of his usual personality. He's so proud and sure of himself to the point that he talks a lot of crap toward his colleagues whenever he's around, all while manning a giant robot head of himself. As for the rest of the cast, I think they should just be explored as you play the game. They are all quirky in their own ways, but there's this one right here, she's just creepy and a little disturbing. Yeah, I was kind of not expecting this for the boss fight when I got to her. But out of these new cast of characters, if there was at least two I would want to talk about, probably be TP and Count Bleck, as they're really the star of the show. TP having amnesia, but you get little glimpses of what she's trying to remember, and Count Bleck as he's the main villain. But as aforementioned, there's a reason he's doing this. And it kind of drives home when you finally get to the end of it, where it all comes finally together. And that concludes Super Paper Mario. This was a fun, good game to play for the first time. Would I play a second time? Probably not, as this game kind of works best as a first time play, and that's it. Now, there are some things you can do. You can still collect more cards. You can try to find the missing pixel I didn't get. That music one that I've seen people use, but don't know where to find it. You can do all that stuff. I don't care enough to play that, as it wasn't necessary to beat the game or make any extra excitements for the game. But it's also not a perfect game, as the backtracking was a bit annoying, especially since I don't like to use guides to help me out. And its battle system can be a little tricky, as enemies like to move a lot, so it's very annoying to land hit. But I say that this was a fun game to have. I would say if you have a Wii collection or you just like to get a lot of different Mario games, this is a nice one to just grab and just put on the shelf and at least play it once. Sure, this game was very different than a standard Mario game, but sometimes you just want to branch out and see what else you can do. Sometimes different gimmicks can be a new core to the series. And I would say that to my younger self and others like me. Sometimes you just need to try out something new. And hey, it might just stick with you. It doesn't have to be in video games. You can try other things. Foods, hobbies, crime. So I say go out there and find something that maybe you've been wanting to see, or try out something completely new. There are exceptions, however.